How is everybody again? All right. Well, thank you again for coming out. We really appreciate your support. This event is entitled the Comedianess, who cried but laughed a little. And of course, it is presented by Miss Melissa Smothers. So we definitely want to celebrate her effort and her, persistence in what she's doing and putting her passion out there for everybody to share this event with her. So this is great that everybody's coming out to support, because this is basically what we need. No matter what the event is, we need to support each other more continuously. So thank you guys for coming out. At this time, we are going to direct your attention to our mental health professionals that have come out to offer extra support. If you guys look on your tables, you do have business cards with their information available. So please, I encourage you, whether you need them or not, please take the information, because it may not only be for you, but you may be a blessing to someone else. So please take that information with you, put it in your purse, put it in your pocket, whatever you have to hold anything, so that you'll have that information on hand, because you never know where God might put you, and you got that information right there. So we're going to start with our first mental health professional, this young lady right here. And please introduce yourself and let everybody know what you do.
Good afternoon. My name is Marsha Clark, and I am the program manager of First Access Support Services, which is a psychosocial program in the city of Richmond who works with mental health individuals who have recently come out of the Department of Corrections, who are trying to get their life straight and have a steady life in the community and just be stable. As well, I own a sober living house called Kindred Spirits Sober Living Facility for individuals who are trying to get off of drugs and alcohol and be more present in the community. And we have a business also called Kindred Spirits Representative Payee, where we work with veterans and people who have mental health issues and substance abuse. So if anyone needs any services, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you. And the remaining mental health professionals are located in the back of the building, so please direct your attention this way.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Valerie McAllister, and I work for the Virginia Department of Health. I have a background in substance abuse and behavioral health. I also am a women's advocate and an author of the book club, a couple books over here on the table, and I'm very happy to be here today.
Hello, my name is Yoshiko Green. I am a program director of Commonwealth Clinical and Consulting Services, where we provide mental health skill building as well as intensive in-home. I oversee both our Richmond and Norfolk locations. As of last May, I became a resident in counseling, so I am pursuing my license as a LPC, so I'm thankful to be here.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Reverend Nicole Phillips. I am currently working as a clinical director of Be Mindful Outreach Services. We do provide mental health skill building services to Medicaid recipient clients here in the Richmond general area. I'm also the CEO and founder of Greater Community Clinical Support Services, and we also offer clinical support. Sorry about that. We offer clinical support to existing agencies. So if you need assessments, individualized training programs, if you have persons in your agencies that need writing support, one-on-one training to improve their clinical writing, I offer one-on-one coaching and individualized classes. I'm sorry my business cards are not in today, but if you need to reach me, please see me afterwards, and I'll be more than happy to give you any information that you need. Thank you, and God bless.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tamika Robinson, and I'm the attorney here. So I do multi-areas of practice. I do civil litigation and representing people that need domestic violence support, victims of other crimes, and pretty much anything else that you might need. So my card should be on everybody's table. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, email me. You can even approach me anytime during the event, and I will gladly try to assist you.
Okay, and once again, thank you guys for coming and offering your services and support. Again, you guys do have the business cards on the table, or these ladies have been very welcoming to approach them about any information that you may need, so please feel free to do so. If you don't feel comfortable doing it here, you can always contact Melissa or anybody else that is around so that you can get that information. So without further ado, we'd like to direct your attention to the projector here to show the PSA that was organized, put together, genius by Miss Melissa Smothers. A lot of other people in this room. We all came together, we supported our sister, and we made it work. So you guys, without further ado, we present to you No More.
Don't tell anybody.
It's our little secret. If you loved me, no one will believe you.
What were you wearing when it happened?
Then why am I in overtime and sudden death every other day? I know that for the good of life there's a price we all gotta pay. But I'll pay till I'm poor, and I still don't know what it is to have a good day. Since everybody knows what it is that I need to do, well, do me a favor. Let me worry about me, and you worry about you. I don't need no one to put me down. I'm on the ground, can't get no lower. And I don't need no one to hang around and make me proud.
For so long, I was told that my story was never enough.
I was told this sort of thing was normal.
That this was a part of growing up, of love, of being alive.
Now, I stand in my truth.
Somebody told me once that running from the rain
This happened to me.
no sense. I had my own dark cloud for a while now. It goes wherever I'm going.
What are you doing?
Know what I'm doing, girl?
It happened to so many.
And we are not at fault.
It's time to speak up.
It's time to fight back.
I believe you.
We believe.
Well, do me a favor. Let me worry about me, and you worry about you.
I am Comedianess Lissa P, and this is my story. And we are survivors.
Makes me look older, and I don't need no one to back my eye and tell me lies. Don't want to cry over nobody else. No.
Hello, I'm Tangie Moore, licensed clinical social worker, and I'm Dr. Shamra Blackwell, and we are the owners of Avail Outpatient Counseling. For counseling and holistic services, call us at 804-214-2260 or visit our website, availcounseling.com.
I'm attorney Tamika Robinson. For your legal questions and concerns, you can contact me at Creighton to Knoll at 804-264-4529 or at www.creightonsnoll.com.
discouraged, and why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven, heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is he. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. And I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know that he watches me. And I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know, oh, I know, he watches me.
That was absolutely amazing. Can we give her another hand? I'm like, I gotta go behind that. Oh my goodness. How's everybody feeling? This is such an amazing event. I don't even think that my dear sister realizes just how powerful she is, and just this idea. Like, you created a safe space for people to come and be real and transparent about the stuff that they've gone through. And I could say so much more, but I'm not. I'm Amanda Edie. I have a poem called Metamorphosis, and I'm not a poet. I'm a storyteller, but I'm not a poet, and I pray that this blesses you and everybody else. Metamorphosis. She was not sure when it happened. That moment that she broke free from the ashes of pain and despair, it wasn't an easy process. One day, she just woke up, stronger, determined, motivated to live, to breathe, to heal. You see, her past thought they had her, all entangled in bitterness and resentment, confused by the things she could not change. Daily, she asked herself why. Why did it have to happen? All that abuse, all that guilt, all that shame. It wasn't fair. She definitely didn't deserve it. The brokenness so complicated, and the time she tried to glue the pieces back together, she failed. until today. Today she realized that she just wasn't the same. Her identity was magical and had the power to blast all the evilness of her past back to the pits of hell from which they came. Today she realized she wasn't taking any more ish. The things she endured, in turn, she would use to help others out of the pits that she used to feel she'll never leave. Today, she was no longer drowning in misery. She had built up enough strength to break free from the ideologies that tried to swallow her whole, those that family members refused to accept. You know, those conversations that never happened, the just sweep it under the rug beliefs. She ate all that crap up and used it as fuel to build her empire, her legacy. Her cocoon was made out of the tears she no longer cried, the screams she silently let out. Today, she truly understood just how royal she was. At any moment, at any time, she would evolve. Letting go of the old skin, drying her wings, and flying. And she believed that today was the day. The first day of her new life, God ordained, destiny fulfilled. Today, she is you. She is him. She is me. Changing the narrative, making some noise, blazing trails of wholeness and freedom, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual health and wealth for the generations to come. Yes, that's me. That's you. That's us. And the metamorphosis continues. I ask that you guys stand up to your feet and acknowledge the awesomeness, the Queen, Miss Lissa P, as she brings forth her truth and her story.
Hey, y'all. I think I want to sit down, too. I feel a little high, and I'm not going to lie, my feet hurt. So, hold on. Let me get a chair. Thank you. As y'all also know, I'm a comic, so I'm going to try to make this as light as possible, okay? Can I get it up here? Please, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Oh, appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. So, I guess this will be like a little story time, I guess. But I decided that I wanted to do this for many reasons. But I guess as I tell my story, then everyone will understand why. Can somebody please hand me a tissue? Because I already feel emotional. My gosh. Jesus. Thank you. Okay, yeah, just take the whole pack. I'm about to put them all in my shirt. Okay. The lights. Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, and I get water. This is like a real HBO thing. Like, okay, I get water, snacks, this is great. And let me just say before I start how cool my family is. My little sister who lives in Utah, she had those flowers delivered to me today. So as we're setting up, the man comes in and he was like, I have a delivery for Melissa. He didn't even say my last name right, but I took him anyway. And, you know, just knowing that she was thinking about me all the way from Utah and she sent those, that did something to me. But, okay, so me, myself, my name is Melissa. I was born Melissa K. Smothers on July 6, 1978. So that means I will be expecting a gift from each of you, okay? So I know what each of you look like, so I'll be able to get my gift. I won't forget, I promise, okay? Had a good life. I still have a good life. Challenging like some, I know. I was brought up in two-parent home. My mother, her name was Mary. My father's name was Clarence. My mom passed away in '99 from breast cancer. My dad passed away in 2011 from prostate cancer. I have been one to, since that happened to them, and of course all of our parents, we said they're the greatest parents that we have, and to watch them go through that, through the chemo treatments and being sick, I lost my faith a lot through that, through that whole thing. But how my story basically started off, me, the outgoing personality that I have, has been with me since birth. I played in the dirt, made mud pies, ate them, was brought up in the country. I did a Facebook Live this morning because I had a snake in my yard, and I was not going to make it here. I was going to be doing this live from my porch because the snake was there, and it wouldn't let me pass, and I didn't appreciate it, so I wouldn't have seen you all today, just to let you know. It would have been because of the snake. Have 2 older sisters. They were always in the household. Time, like I said, life was good. Around when I was about 5 or 6, I experienced molestation. I experienced that with someone within my family. Of course, at that time, I didn't know what it was. It started off basically with them performing oral things on me. Of course, I always kept that to myself, feeling ashamed, and again, still not knowing, what's that all about. Time went on, and my ordeal when I was about 5, that only happened that one time. They tried to get me to do it to them, but that never happened. Then when I turned about 14, I decided to tell my mother. Where I live, we live in a small house, and we have a hallway, that there's a mirror in the hallway. My mom would always stand in the hallway and fix her hair and everything. And this one particular day, I just felt like I said I need to say something to her. And she's standing in the mirror and she's fixing her hair, and we're the only 2 in the house, and I had to whisper it in her ear. I couldn't say it out loud for whatever reason, but I whispered it in her ear, what happened, and I could see her face totally change. Once I told her, she just went in her room and shut the door. I know that my mother kept that with her. And usually, excuse me, this is around my emotional time. But I really felt like after I told my mom what happened and, she got sick, I felt like that a lot of that was my fault, after telling her, and I knew she wouldn't say anything to anybody. So, time went on, and again, she got sicker, and then she ended up passing away, like I stated, in '99. Never said anything to my father because, as we all know, in the black community, you don't say anything, about things like that. If it happens, keep your mouth shut. A lot of the times when it happens, you're confused, you don't know why it happened. You battle with, was it your fault? Yeah, going through that. Then as time went on, I tried to still get myself together. I started doing comedy. I started doing improv to try to mask any pain that I felt that I was having. It is true that comics, they actually live or do their comedy from their pain. And my sisters would ask me, how is it that you can go and you can perform and you can make people laugh, but you come home and cry? That's all I knew how to do. was to try to make everybody else happy and then just deal with my whatever on my own. Life was still good. You know, my mom had passed away, but I was semi-okay because I still had my dad. My dad was one who always told me, he was like, you know, what's the lady name that does stand-up? And I was like, Daddy, there are a lot of people who do stand-up. And he was like, well, you know, the black one. Well, yeah, there's a lot of them too. But he knew that Monique was one of my favorite comics, and he knew that I admired her. So when I said, are you talking about Monique? He was like, yeah, I can see you doing that. I can see you doing that. So I'm like, okay. And then, like I said, after, you know, I started getting into improv. You know, I performed a few times at the Richmond Funny Bone. Before my dad passed away, he was able to come and see me perform. So that was pretty awesome. And like I said, time progressed. Things started going just differently with me. My mind started feeling different. I started feeling sad all the time. I guess whatever it was called, I was feeling depressed all the time. And it got to the point one day that I got so upset, and I was in the house by myself, I had to end up taking myself to Tucker's. I don't know if everyone in here knows what Tucker's is, but it's the pavilion at Chippenham where they usually people who go with any mental issues or anything like that. I was actually home one day, and when I had a complete fit in the middle of my living room floor, and I called them, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And they asked me, they was like, do you feel like you're going to hurt yourself? And I said, yeah, probably, you know. And they said, do you have somebody who can bring you? And I said, I can bring myself. I'm on my way. Like, I know I did 100 going down Midlothian. And, you know, when I got there and I was still upset, and I walked in the room, and they were like, okay, go ahead and take your shoelaces, your belt, and everything off. And I'm like, is this jail? Like, oh my God, what did I come to? I thought I was coming for help. And, you know, I had to remove all of those items, and they sit me in this padded room, and I'm just crying my eyes out because I'm like, what am I doing? They came in there, and they were like, ma'am, can you look this way? And of course, I didn't know she had a camera, so my face is balled up. I've got the ugliest cry ever. And she takes my picture, and I said, that's the one y'all are going to use in my file. Or if anything ever comes up crazy with me, that's the picture that y'all are going to use, just to show everybody that I have something going on with me. But they did an evaluation on me, and they wanted me to stay for 7 days. And at that point, when they told me they wanted me to stay for 7 days, I was just like, I can't stay here. You know, I can take care of myself. I'll be fine. And I looked at them. I said, you know what? Can I have my stuff back? You know, I think I'm ready to go. And they were like, no, you have to stay. I was like, what do you mean? I have to stay here? You know, and they were like, yeah. I said, I promise you, I don't need to be here. So they said, okay, well, you're going to have to talk to, it must have been a clinical counselor, and, you know, they said you're going to have to talk to them in order for you to leave. So I said, okay, that's fine. Where is she? Set up the meeting, because I'm ready to go now. She called me in the room, and I'm just crying and talking to her, and I'm just letting her know, you know, I was just going through a lot, and, you know, I felt like this was my last resort. And after I finished talking to her, she said, yeah, you're going to have to stay. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, you've been crying the whole time you've been talking to me. I said, lady, did I not just need to cry? I mean, God, I can draw all of this up right now. You know, I'm not crying anymore. She was like, no, you need to stay. And I'm like, okay. So they said, well, if you want to, we could put you before a judge tomorrow, and they'll decide whether you can leave or not. I said, okay, that's fine. So I had to get an attorney. The attorney, he came in, he was like, you know, you can't hold a firearm, you can't purchase a firearm, you can't be around a firearm. I said, sir, I don't care. I will get a slingshot if need be. I need to get out of here. I need to leave. So the next morning, they got a judge to come in, and the attorney, and when I tell you I had wrote a list of people that I had not talked to in 10 years, but I gave the list to these people. I said, yes, I'm talking to all these people tomorrow. I have counseling set up. I'm going to see my pastor on Sunday. Yes, who else do you need to know? Who else do you need to contact? But once they got my list and I told them how I was feeling, they eventually, let me out. I guess you want to say it like that. After I left Tucker's, I was still upside down, I guess you can say, but I didn't want to let anybody know, because we all know that people will stereotype you. You let them know you went to Tucker's, that's it. You let them know, or if they found out you did something else, that's it. People like to judge when they don't realize that they have things going on themselves. Time went on, and I went to my sister's house one night, and she said that she had went to a program, and one of my cousins was speaking at the program, and she said that during the program that she had stated that she had also been molested by a family member. And as my sister is telling me this, she's like, Melissa, you better not say anything to her. And I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, is it somebody else? At that time when I told my mom, I wasn't saying anything because, who's going to believe you? That's the thing. Who's going to believe you? Who's going to take you seriously? So after my sister told me that, my cousin had said that, I called her and I went to her house. And we talked outside, and I told her, I said, look, we don't have to talk right now. I said, but I heard that you had experienced some molestation as well when you were younger, and I just want to let you know that you are not by yourself. We don't need to talk about it now, but you're not by yourself. So she kind of just gave me this blank look, and I left. Before I could even get halfway down the street, she sent me a message, and she asked me, was it this particular person? And I told her, yes, that it was. Mine only happened, like I said, that those couple of times. Hers happened for a few years longer than mine. And I end up eventually telling one of my sisters, and my sister actually confronted that relative. The relative, they denied it to the fullest, of course. No, there's no way I could ever do that. I have children. I have grandchildren. So, I go back to just being angry. When people go through these things, you have to worry about, is anybody going to believe you? Is anybody going to take you seriously? And I don't think that people really understand the after effect that these things have on individuals, especially the younger children. That's why for the event today, I wanted to leave it up to the parents if they wanted to bring their younger children, because again, I went through it, my cousin went through it when we were 5 and 6, and some parents, they don't know how to talk to their children about it, or they just may be scared to. It's very, very touchy subject. Fast forward after that, this event came up also as well, because I had almost a similar thing happen to me this last December at a holiday party. I'm at this holiday party, and I know this white gentleman because I've known him for about 18 years, and he is at this party with me. And when I first got to the party, of course, everybody was drinking, and the first time when I was leaving out of the room, he called my name, and I didn't hear him call me, and then to the point where he grabbed me so hard that I almost fell, and the person who was with me, she was like, well, my gosh, he's very aggressive. So, we chalked it up to, oh, that's just him, we know him, that's just how he is. Towards the end of the night, when I was getting ready to leave, he said, let me introduce you to my wife. Okay, I had met her before, but that was fine. Now, she's closest to me. She's like right here at my shoulder, and he's like right in front of me. And I asked her, I said, well, how are the kids? And, she was getting ready to go on her phone to show me, her kids. And he reaches over, and he pats my breast, and he said, I'll see y'all in the morning. So I look at her, and she's not paying any attention at all. So I'm like, okay. All right. So she shows me the picture, and I just left. And I had my niece with me. So, I didn't want to say anything, of course, to her because she's younger. And I went home. I wrestled with it all night because, again, this is a white male who is in the same establishment as me, and he's been there longer than me. So that next day, I went to my supervisor, and I told him about it. And black male, he looked totally confused about it. He said he didn't know how to handle it. So I said, okay. So he said, well, wait till the director gets here, our director, which she's a black female. Now, this is somebody who I felt like that I was close to. We've been on trips together. We've been to Florida. We've been to Disney World. I've stayed at her house. We've gone out, things like that, So when I go in her office, I tell her what happens, and she goes, he's our friend, right? That's just him. Now you know what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to go to HR. So I am sitting here looking in pure confusion like, okay, well, hey, I'm struggling, and she's just upset about the paperwork that she's going to have to do. And again, that he's been there for 25 years versus our 10, 18. I had to go through an investigation with them. I had to have several meetings. And since then, that happened December 13th. It happened December 12th. As of December 13th, no one from my job has checked on me at all. Nobody has said anything. He walking around just fine, no problem. But they had an incident where it happened to a black gentleman there as well, and they fired him within a couple of days and continuously checked on the people that had the issue. All of this is very hard. I, again, just felt like that molestation and sexual assault is something that has happened to a lot of us, and to a lot of us who may be sitting in this room who you might not know, or you might do know. I just felt like that I needed to tell my story. I know that my story is probably not as, I'm not going to say not as important, but I know people have been through much worse things than me. But I just felt like after that incident, and knowing that there are females and males that go through these things and people don't believe them and don't have anybody to talk to, or they don't know what to do, I just felt like that you need to know that you have help, that there are people out there who will listen to you. It's a hard thing to discuss. I know some people who were actually here who wanted to talk about some of their situations. I told them that they didn't have to, because I didn't want to put anybody else on the spot. I just want to let everybody know that it does affect you. This is something that does not go away. A lot of people are judged, and it's not fair and it's not right. I myself am glad for the circle of people that I have, especially those people who are on the PSA. When I experienced these things and I reached out to each of these individuals, they had no problem. Like, it wasn't even a hesitation. It was definitely yes. And I have shared that PSA with a lot of people, like outside of the Richmond area. And one person who actually responded back to me was Angela Gibbs. And Angela Gibbs is the daughter of Marla Gibbs. And she is Florence from the Jeffersons, or Mary from 227. So she gave a phenomenal critique on it. She said that it's something that needs to be talked about, and especially in the Black community. So I just, again, wanted for everybody to just know that you can get through the pain. It's something like I said, it's some stories and some people in that PSA who have stories that are just really remarkable. And each person who is in the PSA, I hope that each of you will get to know them, because they each have their own stories. But like I said, this is just my own story. This was just my story from me, just to share, because I felt like that it was necessary. And again, to know that the people who laugh a lot, they cry a lot as well. So I think that's, pretty much it. I don't want to keep everybody here for longer than what they need to. And this is a nerve-wracking topic, because I was really questioning how people would receive it or how they would take it. But see, it takes one hood chick in the back to keep things going. But I love you too, Grizzy. Thank you. But yeah, that's just some things about me. Like I said, my molestation, it happened to me, unfortunately, at the age of 5 by the hands of somebody who supposed to be, quote unquote, my family, and a lot of people, they want to put it, sweep it under the rug, and I guess I can say I understand it, but then again, I really don't. A lot of people don't want to live in their truth, and that's fine, because I just felt like I wanted to live in mine today for a chance. So it's just 7:10. My goodness. I don't want to turn this into a comedy show, but hi. Yeah, I'm sweating profusely. I know that, though. But seriously, I need for each person to make sure that you put the cards away, that you put them in your purses, that you take them with you, to know that, again, that there are people out here who you can contact, who you can talk to, who understands. For those who are in here who have experienced anything like this, I want to tell you that I am sorry that you went through it. Usually people say whomever this was given to, it was given and done to you because you need to help and save somebody else. It's something pretty tough to carry. It affects you with your relationships with people, mine with females and males. After that happened to me, I couldn't stand the sight of same-sex couples, and that got to me for a lot of the times. I just felt gross. I just felt, for you to be able to do that to me, and the counselors that I've spoken with, they were like, well, they probably had issues as well. which I had heard that that person had experienced that in their lifetime as well. But I still then didn't get it, and I still don't get it now. You know, like, how do you feel that that's okay for you to do that to a child? You know, but I'm not going to continue to dwell on the sad part of it. Like I said, I just wanted to get that part out to let you all know that it happens to, I guess, the best of us, to make us feel like the worst. But I think that maybe Jen was talking. I really would like for each person who was in the PSA to come up and be able to share a word if they like. Also, I really want you all to meet Joy. Joy is the one who actually, I went to her after I had this idea about the PSA, and I said, Joy, can you write me a script for some people? And she said, sure. And her sure was within the next, 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, I had a script. And that was the script that you all saw, that you all heard up there. So each of them who are about to take the mic, when I tell you these people, outside, of course, the PSA, they are all entrepreneurs. Even the mental health professionals, outside of what they do, they're doing great things as well. So I want for each of them to be able to say a word to let you all know what they have going on as well, because I feel like now we're all a family, like we're all connected. So I'm going to take pictures of everybody, and I'm going to give pictures to each person. So if you need to call the person in the picture for $1, you could tell them, remember, we're family now. You know, we met at the event, so I need something, you know, because I feel that we don't have enough of that either. You know, there's a lot of things going on in the world. There are a lot of people dying, and really, we're all we've got. You know, I tell people all the time, from the white people to the black people to the Puerto Rican people, if Trump or anybody decides to send us back, we're all getting on the same ship. So either we better get along now or we better get along then, because wherever we're going is going to be a long ride, okay? So I feel like, yes, everybody needs to, I hope, introduce yourselves before you leave, because all of you all are great, and I appreciate each and every one of you for coming out, really, and I hope you all enjoyed the food. Thank you to Mama Patricia and Felicia and the University of Richmond for preparing the meals for me. I really appreciate that. And yeah, so if each person who was in the PSA, if you all could just come up here so they can see you all, and just to give them a word on what you all have going on, what you have, and yeah. So yeah, come on, y'all. Oh, wait, what? Now, see, they did not do this, okay? They did not do all of this, but yeah, they're going to introduce themselves, and they're going to let you all know what they have going on, and yeah, they are so cute. Look at them. Oh, give them a round of applause, y'all. Look at some of the cast and crew. Y'all go ahead and spread out. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, start.
Thank you so much. Look at that. My name is Nicole Fields. Not only was I in this PSA, but my daughter was the young lady at the beginning. And so, business-wise, I'll get that out the way. So I'm the owner of No More Excuses, which is a nonprofit organization set up for teens to reach their dreams and for women to get to their vision. And I'm also the face of Convo with Nikki, which is a motivational, inspirational platform. And I speak and I share my life, understanding that my scars help others heal, and in time I also will.
I was gonna come up here with a joke, and I don't have it. Yeah, because I'm out of breath. But no, the reality is, my daughter was molested. Not once, but twice. And it's a hard seat to sit in as a mom, because the first time she was 3, and I'm the one that left her there. And the second time I was upstairs in the house, and she was 6. But I was in the house. However, it speaks volumes to who I am as a mom, because her first place to come was me. I have to remind myself of that daily, because sometimes, even in disciplining her, she's 9, even in disciplining her has been super hard, because I'm wondering, am I disciplining the trauma, or am I disciplining the behaviors of a 6-year-old or 9-year-old girl acting out? And so trying not to over-discipline, under-discipline. Sometimes I miss the mark. It is really, really, really hard. And to any parent in here, if they come to you and it sounds a little suspect, hear them. Leave your door open. Never close it. No matter what they say. You should be the place they run to. I'm grateful for circles and grateful for families, but I'm also grateful that I was the place that even in what I think or still believe to be some of my failures, she saw me to be safe. And I think as parents, that's the hardest thing in the world. I have a story, I do, but hers was, to me, way more pertinent in this situation. And so when Lissa asked me to be a part, I was like, of course, it was easy. And she said, well, what about your daughter? I said, well, I'll talk to her. She said, you going to ask her? I was like, yeah, I'm going to talk to her. Because her voice matters, and as long as we continue to remind them that their voice matters, they'll continue to use it. And what has happened as a whole generation of adults, we've decided to dictate who they are and what they become, and then wonder why they never be what we said they were going to be, because we never heard what their hearts were, what they wanted to be. And so I'll encourage anybody that has a kid or a teen or a child, first teach them proper body parts. Because what saved her from me understanding was he put his penis in my mouth. She was 3. But she knew proper body parts. So I didn't have to wonder his ding-ding, his wing-wing. What is that? I knew what she meant when she said it. The reality is the system is not set up for 3-year-olds to have a story. So you have to be the voice. You have to advocate. And it's not hard. It's not easy. But do you think it was easy for them? So I challenge you to just have a conversation. To say, oh, my door is open as a parent. Like, really say that. And then be okay with what comes through the door. I ain't say you got to like it. But be okay, because if it's not your door, then it's the streets. And then when they tell them, they're going to hear it, because guess what? They was listening, they was willing, and they was able. Don't ever shut your door. Make sure that voice is valid. And then trust them, and then act on it. That's it.
My name is Ty. Well, it's Tynella, but I go by Chef Ty. And me and my husband have a catering company. So business side first. We also just started a company called Gourmet Hemp Foods. So I do everything with hemp oil, hemp seeds, and I'm in the process of becoming one of Richmond's, I guess, first certified cannabis chefs. So I do it for the healing properties, not for you to be high. Okay, it's a difference. It's a difference. Like you can actually achieve the same things being relaxed, because the way we are and how wound up we are, you don't realize that a state of relaxation is even better than being high. So once you know your body and you know your system and how to put the proper things in place, relaxation is far better than being high, because you are still free to be who you are without being locked in a state of not knowing what you're doing. That's that part. When Lissa called me and asked me to do it, this was after I had did the hashtag Me Too. So my story, I was 16. I had just graduated high school. I had went to my first party, and I was with a group of girls. And I was found a week and a half later with broken ribs, and I was treated for everything and every disease that you can find because I had been raped. What they thought was fibroids would actually be my oldest child. So out of my situation, I gave birth to a child. And being in the family that I was in, my grandmother refused to let me give my child up for adoption. He was either going to be my brother or he was going to be my child. I had to pick which one it was and be okay with it. I left. I joined the military. I had made up and made a conscious decision that I did not care enough about myself or anything that was going to happen to me past that point, because I had nothing to give anybody because it was already taken. I had a praying great-grandmother and grandmother. I ran into this guy, and, well, backtrack, I got raped again, leaving Philadelphia to go to New York to go to my duty station. So now it's become a regular thing. I feel like that's my perfume that I wear, and that was just going to be how my sexual experiences was going to be. It was going to be them always taking and me never giving. Now we go, I meet this guy, and I think, like, all right, well, this is what's going to happen. We're just going to sleep together, and he'll walk away or whatever. I was wrong. 23 years later, this man is still my husband. He is my best friend. He has loved me past every hurt. And while this happened, my son is 22 years old. God had a sense of humor. My son is autistic. My son would never lash out and remind me or say, Mom, you left me. Instead, he is, when I walk in the door, Mommy, are you happy with me? Mommy, did I do okay today? And he lives for your adoration, not what we take on, which is if you call me a name, I hold on to it and I don't like you anymore. You can call him everything but the child of God, and tomorrow he will come back and he will speak to you and he will be just as happy as he was the day that you called him. All those names. So in my home, I have balance. In my home, I have an angel on earth that's my child, even though he was a product of something that was supposed to destroy everything in me. And that's the only way I choose to look at it. This has been 22 years, and tomorrow could be a day where the cloud comes back and I shut completely down. Being that I was so young, certain smells, certain movies, certain just situations I lock up. I have become locked to where I couldn't be a wife to my husband. And these are things that he, instead of going out and finding someone else or going and doing something drastic, he held me through those moments. He prayed me through those moments. I have everything that I need when I have him, because I know that his faith has brought me to where I am, where I can stand up here, where I can tell this story without breaking down. I had to actually tell this story to my children because they didn't know. And it came out of my mother not understanding. And she gave the guy who did this to me, who, for whatever reason, I still don't see his face, my phone number. And I'm driving on the highway, and my phone rings, and it's his voice that I hear. And I shut all the way down, because for 17 years, I thought I was good. And then that brief of a moment, everything came crashing back around me. And I literally had to sit there and tell my children that your oldest brother is not daddy's, that this is what happened. And to have my children look at me, I thought that I was the one that was going to be so ashamed. And instead they cried and they said, Mommy, it's okay. You didn't ask for it. And now our daughter's in college. Our oldest one, my oldest, he works at Old Charlie's, so he has him a little job now. And our youngest is getting ready to graduate. If I don't do anything else, I am now judged by my fruit, which is my children. And I feel that what I've done, while I've caused damage that I didn't realize from me holding things in and my children watching it, I didn't do so much that they don't come to me. So our daughter 2 days ago was getting ready to go to a part of Atlanta that she wasn't familiar with. And she called and she said, Mommy and Daddy, can you just pray over me before I go out with my friends? And if you have a 20-year-old that's in Atlanta, okay, male or female, and they take 2 seconds to call and say, pray for me before I walk out that door, I've done my job, because my fruit that I bore is now knowing that you need to be covered before you go out that door. I am a survivor for today. I don't know what I'll be tomorrow, and that's my truth. I don't live past the 24-hour gift that God gives me, because I don't know how I'll be tomorrow. And in coming here, I had this bad feeling all day about me, because I didn't know what I was going to have to say. I didn't know if I was going to be able to. And I barely wanted to get out my bed. But I gave my word that I would be here. And I went to my husband and I said, baby, please hold me. Just hug me and tell me it's going to be okay. Because every time you tell your story, you have a small bit of healing. But when you have people that you are giving your story to, you don't know what the judgment is going to be. And when you say that you're unapologetically who you are, sometimes it's true, but you still look out into a crowd of people that you have never seen and think when you walk away that the judgment is going to be there. One day at a time, one prayer at a time. I'm getting better. I am better. I love you because you forced me to be better by doing this, and I thank you for the platform. So, love you, and that's it. Oh, that's the company right there.
Yeah, Well, hello again, everybody. I'm Sonia Staples, and I am the host of From Prison to Promise. It is on Legacy Internet Radio every Sunday. My radio started as just that, a radio show, but we have since evolved into a 501c3 nonprofit organization for people who are formerly incarcerated and for their support systems. My story is not one of sexual molestation or abuse. My story is that I am a prison wife. My husband was incarcerated in 1996, and he's been incarcerated ever since. We're working up on year 24. He will be released in 2020. He was 18 when he was incarcerated. I was 17. Before he was my husband, he was my best friend. So with that being said, I took a vow to myself and our friendship to support him through this. We learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about the prison system. We've had our times of separation, but I never took him away from just sending a letter and hearing a word to let me know that he was okay. Because there was a lot we didn't understand about the prison system. And prison is one of those hush-hush situations where a lot of people don't talk about. They're embarrassed to say about their family members. They're embarrassed to say that they actually go down the road every weekend, send money, put money on the phone. That embarrassment stopped with me March 17th of 2017. I went to go visit my husband at a lower security facility. The dog alerted to my menses, in which I was strip searched. Not only was I strip searched, I was strip searched to the point that the next step would have been me entering prison. So I'm talking squatting, coughing, everything that you would do before you get registered to go to prison. They searched my car. They found nothing on my person, or they found nothing in my car. At that point, I was supposed to be granted a non-contact visit with my husband. I was denied that non-contact visit, despite I signed a paper saying that I was. With that, I went to Facebook and I shared my story on the compound. It was the most demeaning thing I had ever been through in my life. And keep in mind that we were well over 15 years of going to visit him, but I had never experienced anything like this. The response that I received from the live that I did showed me my purpose. That ride home, God told me, this is why I sustained you. This is what you need to do for me. All of the things that you went through was not forgotten. This is what I need you to do for me. We had a conversation where I decided that our stories needed to be told. We no longer need to be embarrassed about supporting our people that are in prison. We no longer have to feel that we need to explain why we do what we do for the people that are incarcerated, because they are just that, they're people too. And I don't feel that just because your sin granted you prison time and my sin didn't, that it makes us any different. I don't feel that. So at that point, I stopped being apologetic about what I was doing, and I started supporting my husband more. And with that, I started From Prison to Promise. Not only for my husband, not only for me, but for others who feel like they don't have a voice because they were silenced by incarceration. I've met a lot of people, and I've dealt with a lot of situations on my own, and I'm not by far licensed as much as a lot of these specialists are. That was not even my concentration in school. So that just shows you how God will shift you to what he wants you to do instead of what you want to do. But I listen to these people, and I have a feeling for these people, because not only do I sit there and listen to their story, but I find myself in them, and I find my husband in them. And that gives me the more passion to encourage them and let them know that you have not been forgotten. And if I'm the only person that you're looking at that you feel like you can talk to, you got that one person that you could pick up the phone and talk to, because you have not been forgotten. So with that, I say, I agreed to do the PSA. At first I thought, why would she pick me? I haven't been through this. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a story. That doesn't mean that nobody else doesn't have a story. Everybody has a testimony. Without that testimony, without tests, you would not have that testimony. And no matter how great it is, you have to share your story, because it's not only therapeutic for you, but it's somebody out there that's listening that you're touching with your voice, that's afraid to open up their mouth and say something, that's afraid that someone is going to label them as soon as they open their mouth. Well, that's not me anymore. I'm not afraid. I'm unapologetic. I don't care. I don't care. And I don't expect people to understand my walk. That was the biggest barrier for me. I wanted to push people to understand. You have to understand, you don't have to do anything but stay who you are and die. That's the only thing you have to do. And that is the foundation that I built my new self on. That's the foundation that I raised my kids on. So with that, I support those who have formerly been incarcerated. I support the support systems that support them. And I open up the platform for those who feel like they have been lost because they've made one mistake. The judgment is not here. It isn't even welcome here. Because as much as I'm helping you, you're helping me. So, again, Lissa, I applaud you. I am very proud of you for continuing to do what you do, just as a person. Even if you didn't open up your mouth to do this event, you bring people out. You can say, I'm having a bouncy house in the middle of Broad Street, and people will come. I seen it happen. I seen it happen. But you bring people out, and I just want to continue to encourage you in that, because I've always told you, you are that person. So when you give me the pushback, I just laugh and let it go, because I already know that it's going to be great, because you come from a pure heart. And when you come from a pure place, everything falls together. So congratulations. I'm very proud of you, and thank you for having me.
Oh. Hello, everybody. My name is Jay Grizzy. I'm affiliated with, I'm a part of the crew of Legacy Internet Radio, and comedian, podcaster, host, father. I'm going to be brief because I see we got a long line. I'm going to try to be brief. Lissa hit me up about doing a PSA, and of course I said I was going to do it. And then after I said I was going to do it, I started reflecting, like, you know, especially being a male. You know, we need more guys, and it's good to see the brothers here and the men, but we need more men to speak up to this, especially as a kid raised by women and raised by a lot of women, mama, auntie, grandma, and to see the trauma and the pain and the stuff, 47 years old now, to see the stuff that mothers go through, women go through, single women go through, women that's married that their husbands are abusive, the stories, stuff like that. I'm a guy. I have a visceral feeling, so my first instinct is to kill him. You know, I want to do something about it. And then Lissa, you know, hit us up, and there's a lot of different ways to weed out the bad guys. And one of the things is awareness. One of the things, especially as a community, we need to do is we need to communicate better. We need to talk. Because I was born in 1972. I'm pretty sure they won't talk about this issue. You know, it was swept up under the rug. And that's what makes it fester. That's what starts that pattern over and over and over again. I'm partial to Lissa P. She's like my sister, you know. And so when she told me her story, and we did shows together. You know, she was my host when we did our podcast. And putting it all together now, I didn't know Lissa P was going through all this. But back then, I was just like, what'd I say?
What's wrong with me?
Dust your ass off and come on. You know, come on, let's make these people laugh. Let's be funny. You know, and it's true. Comedians get a lot of material from their pain because we don't want to deal with it. Funny as hell, though. It feels good, and it's immediate response when you get somebody to respond to something that you put out there to, you know, that stimulates you, and you be like, oh, now I feel good, you know. And if you've been through those traumatic experiences, that's all. So when she told me her experiences, first my heart dropped, and I was angry, and I wanted to find the person. But then I said, you know what? Well, Lissa P said, where you going to go? You too small to go to jail. You know, and I is, but I would have took that one. I would have took it for you, baby. I would have took it. I'm proud of you. I told you, I didn't know how long you was going to last up here before you start breaking down. Say your prayer before you go up. And, you know, your story, this is something good to let people, there's somebody in here. Ain't nobody going to say nothing. But just to know that there's an outlet for somebody is good enough. So I love you. Be funny. We should do a show again. Is it brief now? Was this brief? Yeah. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Good evening. My name is Lachelle Jackson, and I am the owner of Photography by Lachelle. I also am starting a YouTube page called Life with Lachelle. Life with Lachelle is pretty much taking on a role. Instead of me doing live broadcast on Facebook, I will just switch it over to YouTube, so hopefully I can monetize on that. So Life with Lachelle really is not about my life, but our life together. So one day I'll have a show, bring Lissa up, Lissa. I always call you Lissa, you know. She's like, she loves me. But, or Ty or somebody, and we'll just have a conversation. We'll talk about your business. It'll be a platform where you can talk about your business, your movement, or whatever, or we just have a chat. So my story is, as a youth, I was sexually molested by a female family member. And as I grew up as a teenager, I was molested by a male family member. And as that went along, I grew up. It didn't happen in my later teenage years. But as an adult, I put all those memories behind me, and they just all came rushing down and coming back to my remembrance. And I just remember one day going home and it just rushing on me, and I'm like, wow, Lord, why did you bring these memories back? I do not want to relive this. But I clearly heard what the Lord was saying, and he said, you have to heal in order to help somebody else. So still then, I'm not knowing what that all meant. I just knew that, you know, it will be for the Lord's glory. To speed it up a little bit, the Me Too movement came around, and I used Facebook as a platform to say Me Too. And I believe that was the time that we connected and we inboxed each other and we just shared our stories. And over time, I've been trying to get with this girl, and she kept backing out on me. We were supposed to have lunch, we were supposed to do certain things together, and it all came to fruition. She told me why, and I understood. But I prayed for her, she prayed for herself, and said, in time, you know, and look where you are. And I'm so proud to see, because I know how hard this was for you. Because we were supposed to have those lunches, we were supposed to get together and we have discussions and whatever. And I know what it took for you to get here, and I'm so happy and proud of you. And I know it's going to go even further. You're going to do even bigger, yeah! You're going to do even bigger and better things as this moves on. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.
All right, good evening. My name is Brandy, aka Blessed. I started out with Lissa on Marcus J's show on Monday evenings, right? So that's how we all got to know each other. So I was in the PSA. I'm glad that she asked me to be in it. I don't think she ever knew that anything had happened to me. I made it through my business-wise. Okay, I'm a pianist. If you need anybody to play the piano for whatever, you know, just let me know, give me some time, and we'll get that straight. Okay, so once I went through childhood, my mom kept me on lockdown. I went to college on a scholarship. I dropped out because the boyfriend that I had at the time had a car accident and got paralyzed. Well, when I dropped out, I didn't have anywhere to go. I was trying to be an adult and take care of him, and also still work and find a place to live. I went with my cousin. My cousin's husband one night woke me up in the middle of the night. So to this day, the places that he touched me is like still in your mind, you know, you don't touch me that way type thing. Fast forward, I was an alcoholic. I was drinking to the point that I was passing out in clubs because I needed a way to cope, and that was my way to cope. One sober night, however, I went with someone who I didn't know, was supposed to just go and pick up some food and come back to my car, and it didn't happen that way. I wasn't raped. I was sexually assaulted. I ended it with the police being called. I had to break out of an apartment and run across the way to whoever's door would open at 3 o'clock in the morning. And they finally called the police. They asked me if I wanted to press charges or not, and I'm like, my eye is black, my lip is busted. Why wouldn't you all do it? Because I was a punk. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't strong enough to press charges myself. So that person is probably still walking around somewhere free, and I still hold on to the pain of that. But what Ty said about seeing the person's face, it's normal to forget. You try to block that stuff out, so you don't see that face anymore. You don't hear that voice anymore. But eventually I went back to school. I went to VCU, and I found out that there was a group counseling. So I got a little bit of help through group counseling. But time heals wounds, that's what they say. You still remember. You went through it, so that maybe you could teach somebody else what to or what not to do, or help them make better decisions with their lives. So thank you, Lissa, for bringing this up, for having this event so that we can talk about it, so that we know we need to talk to other people about it, so hopefully they won't go through it. Thank you. No, don't fall.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Marcus J. I'm the founder and owner of Legacy Internet Radio, which is where I know a lot of you folks from. We've interacted together in different capacities. Our motto is independence is key to building your legacy. We feature socially conscious talk radio, so we appreciate any support that you guys would offer to us. I don't have a story like many of the folks who have spoken this evening. I'm one of those people who just didn't realize that this was something that was so prevalent. You know, with the Me Too movement, as it started gaining traction and everybody is sharing their stories, I became aware of people that I know who have been affected. Many of them spoke tonight. Obviously, we're here honoring Comedianess Lissa P. As she tells her story. And I just sat here listening to Brandy. She's a good friend of mine, and I didn't know that story. So to come and have to talk behind her is pretty difficult for me. But as I have found that people that I'm friends with have had these stories, I also became aware of several elders, female elders in my family who have had these stories as well. And as the Me Too movement has made them more comfortable to share. One in particular shared a story that happened to her when she was 14 years old, and she literally never said a word until recently. And this is a person that's in their 70s now. And so, I mean, whenever this happened in the 60s or whenever this was, she carried this for 50 years. And it was the strength that she was able to gather from her peers in this terrible, terrible situation that allowed her to be able to, after all of those years, get some sort of comfort in telling the story to those folks that she loves and loves her. So I'm hoping that the folks that are in this room tonight hear that and hear the stories that have been told. And if there's something that has happened to you, we've got professionals in the building, and there is help out there. It has been my experience in just watching and observing that there is some comfort in sharing the story. And so I would encourage everyone to find someone that you trust to actually do that. I appreciate everybody who is here, and I think that we all owe a great debt of gratitude to Lissa P for bringing us all together and filling up this room with people who can benefit from these stories. So thank you. Appreciate you all being here.
Good evening again to everybody. My name is Amanda Edie, and if I'm honest, I told you guys I'm a storyteller. And I pride myself as being a storyteller because that has how I have survived these 38 years of life. I really want to stress the importance of safe spaces. I believe that abuse was tied to my identity for a very, very long time. I wasn't known as Amanda, but just abuse, and I accepted abuse. I was sexually assaulted at 12 years old by a female, and honestly, because my parents didn't talk about it. I was raised in a very strict Christian household, and my parents didn't talk about it because we didn't have a relationship, if that makes any sense. So for all my parents out there, safe spaces and relationships are so important. Like, your children should be able to, like Nicole said, your children should be able to come to you. And I had a dad and I had a mom. I'm the oldest out of 5. And I couldn't go to them at 12 years old and say that I had that experience. So I was in Panama at the time. I moved to the States, and because I didn't have the relationship with my parents, and I felt like, okay, that thing happened, it was my fault, I just swept it under the rug, and I continued going through adolescence. And I remember young boys trying to mess with me. And you know what, you guys? I felt, yeah, go ahead. I allowed them to do it. I laid there and allowed them to sexually assault me for years, to the point I got known as the woman, the young girl that if you want some, you go to Amanda. All through teenage, all through high school, I went through that. I never felt like I could go to my mom and say, Mom, this is what has happened to me. These boys, even when I say no, these boys are still forcing themselves on me. And the reason why I couldn't say that is because my mother called me a slut and a whore even when I wasn't sexually active. And I felt like, okay, well, this is what sluts and whores do. So that abuse got tied to my name, and I went through that for a majority of high school. Young adult, was very promiscuous, trying to break free from the abuse that I tied to my name. It was rough. It was rough. I had my first child at 19. He will be graduating from high school in June. They told me that I was going to mess up his life, that he wouldn't amount to anything, and he is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And because of all the crap that I went through as a teenager, I believe that I'm an amazing mom to my 2 children. They have safe spaces with me. My children come and tell me stuff that I could never tell my parents. I was never comfortable enough to come to my parents and say, so this stuff happened to me, without feeling like I was being judged in my own household. And to this day, I'm going to get to the business part, but to this day, I don't have a relationship with my parents. And I'm 38. We don't have that strong relationship. I was in the hospital. I lost my ability to walk. I just went back to work after a month this past Monday. Y'all see I'm walking. I got heels on and stuff like that, you know. But my parents never came to visit me. They never came to visit me in the hospital. And I can't even imagine. I have 2 babies, but I can't imagine them being sick and not running to them. So when I say relationships and safe spaces are super important to me, that's why I'm here, to create these experiences where people can come together and be unified. I'm an author, I'm an educator, I do editing and proofreading and ghostwriting. I believe that God has me here to use my words to change the world. I also am the co-founder of Unity Achievers with this fine specimen next to me. And Unity Achievers is a company that really promotes unity among all relationships, whether personal, professional, regardless of whether you're black, white, Asian. We believe that unity plus love will change the world. We believe that we're all family. Every single one of us, and we need each other. And so we just launched not too long ago, and we will have events. You guys can follow us on social media. We call ourselves the #ComeHellaHighWater Crew because we believe that Destiny Connections, if you focus on the mission of the Destiny Connection, you can change the world. And we all need to come together to change the world. So I thank Lissa for allowing me to just share, for creating this dope, safe space. And I hope that you guys feel free to share your truth. Because when you share your truth, you help set someone else free. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sean Ponitz. Like she said, I'm another co-founder of hashtag Come Hella High Water. I'm also the owner of Mighty Tidy, which is a cleaning business. I will clean your home like it's mine. I have walked around with this story for 39 years. Amanda is the first person who knows. The crew that we did the PSA with is the second people that know. My mom doesn't know. And with the things that happen to me, it keeps me shut down. It keeps me in a bubble by myself. So at times I will zone out. I will be at work. I'll leave work. I'll call Amanda and was like, I just can't do it. Amanda talked me into going to counseling. I tried that a few times, but it was like, they ask crazy questions. Look around. Tell me 4 things that you see. I see that I want to get out this room because we're closed in and I don't have no escape place. So my escape place will be me smoking marijuana. It kept me comfortable. It felt like I was safe, like nothing else mattered. So when Amanda came to me and asked me to be a part of this, I guess it was God saying, just do it. I'm not a big talker. I've been molested since I was 5 years old to the age of 15, and the first time it was with a female. So men are not the only people that are molesting kids. We can all try to stop it by, 1, stop letting the kids sit on people's laps. 2, talk to your kids. If you see them acting in a way that's not normal, don't think it's just their age or their spoil. It's really things that have happened to them and they don't know how to come out and say it. I didn't know Lissa, so I was like, sure, I'm gonna do it. It'll be people that's just like me that it happened to. And as I did it and I listened to family, I didn't know that it happened to my cousins that's underneath me, and I'm the oldest of 20 grandkids. They talk about it. They talk about it to me, and yet I still stay silent because I don't know what to say. Being molested that many times has left me with nothing to say, or I don't know what to say. Sometimes being with Amanda, it's like, she's like, always, baby, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. But deep down inside, I'm hurt. I have a big trust issue. I don't go to any family functions. I don't call them. My phone will ring and I literally won't answer. So it's something I deal with a lot, and I'll wake up out of a nightmare. I'll just shut down and stay in a room and stay in my bed all day. Staying in your bed all day, it is actually not a good thing because you lose yourself. You don't know where to go. You're like a missing child, and you can't be found. So being with these guys and being a part of this is helping me heal, because now I do want to get out. I do want to enjoy life, and I want to feel the sun. I lost a lot of vitamin D, where I had to take pills every day to try to gain that back. I had to do, what was it, a month or 2 in the hospital. I went to go work out one day just because I always sat down. I went to go work out with a friend. She was like, let's get out of the house and go walk. So we were walking, and I'm like, I think my anxiety is kicking in. She's like, well, Sean, you don't work out. Come on, just breathe. So she says, let's jog. I'm like 240 pounds. I'm not jogging nowhere. So she's like, well, I'm going to stay here. And all I can remember is her just standing there in one place running. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to walk off to the side. And that is the last thing I remember, and I fell out. And when she woke me up, she said, I called Amanda. You called Amanda for what? She ain't going to be able to make me run. So when I looked up, I realized that the building was sideways. I'm like, damn, why the building sideways? She's like, Sean, you fell out. Get to the hospital, and I discovered that I had a DVT, which is a blood clot in my left leg, and they skipped my heart and went to both of my lungs. So I had to do a few months of taking injections and taking medicine for blood clots and being worried that, I don't know, one day I could walk around and I could just pass out for a blood clot because I did it to myself, not wanting to go nowhere, not wanting to get out the bed. And the doctor's like, you been on a plane? No. You been on a long trip? No. Scared to tell them that I was depressed, that I didn't want to get up and go out the bed. So I ask you tonight, if you have kids, please go home and talk to them, because it is a hard topic to me to go to my mom and say, Mom, you remember you left me with the babysitter, the lady? She molested me. You remember when we had a cookout and everybody was upstairs and my cousin was upstairs touching on me? It's just so many factors of so many situations that I've been in, whether it was women or men. And a lot of people say, oh, well, she's gay because she had an issue with a man. No, I was gay because that's what God put me on this earth. God made me. That was my decision to be gay, not because I was molested, not because I was raped, because the first time was by a woman. So, please, we're all family, and if any one of y'all need to talk about anything, I'm at the point now where I can speak. My mouth is open, the hands are taken off, there's no more chains, and we're all family, and I want us to be all unified. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Angela Blathers. I unfortunately don't have a story like my other friends up here, but business first. I am the owner of No Glass Ceilings. It is a nonprofit organization. We help train and teach young entrepreneurship, so between the ages of 7 to 17, if you know any of them. We have workshops for advertising, marketing, business, finance, anything for your business, for your children. So we're trying to get them ready for the future. My story, I really don't have one personally, but someone kind of encouraged me to speak on the assault that happened to my mother. So she was assaulted, raped, and inevitably, unfortunately, killed by an assailant who didn't know her. They had no connection with our family. It was just a random day. She was at work. So what I say to assault is, for my women, be careful. When you're out here at night, we rip and run so much sometimes we don't think about what's going on around you. So please be mindful. If it's something as simple as taking notice of someone who had on a green shirt and blue jeans, be able to identify something about someone. So just don't kind of walk with your blinders on, but take notice. Take a photographic picture in your mind, because that could definitely help someone one day. You never know. So that would be my story for assault, unfortunately. So my mom is not here, but I am here to tell her story and to keep encouraging, hopefully, all of you to just be mindful of your surroundings, because when it comes to assault, it doesn't necessarily have to be someone that you know or someone that you're even meaning to be in the presence of. So she was just at work. She walked out of a store. She got in her car. There was someone waiting for her in the back seat of the car. So always, this is my thing. I'm always touching the back seat, because you just never know. So I encourage you all just to be safe. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joy Donaldson. She made me go last. I'm not sure why. But I am who wrote the script for the PSA. Business, as far as that goes, I am an independent podcaster and radio host for Legacy Internet Radio. Myself and my co-host Montreal White do the podcast My Depression's Got Jokes on Sundays. I am an author, writer, photographer. I am so many other things, but the one thing that I had the most trouble with, and why I was so surprised that Lissa reached out to me about it, is a survivor. It took me a really long time to be able to say the word survivor and equate it to myself. I was molested at age 8 by a male cousin. I remember very vividly what happened. It was upstairs in the home that I lived in, and out of nowhere, my grandmother started babysitting him, and it just happened. And the brain is funny. I am very transparent about having both depression and anxiety, and recently diagnosed with PTSD. And it's funny how your brain will try its hardest to protect you, but also bringing back memories at the worst possible time. And I was 12 years old when the memories of what happened to me started flooding back. And even though I believe that after that happened is when I really started to realize that I was a depressed 8-year-old. It wasn't until 12 when I started to spiral. And I have been dealing with the issues and the repercussions of that since then. And I remember going to an event maybe 4 years ago where the speaker kept saying, I need you to repeat after me, I am a survivor. And I couldn't bring myself to say it because I kept saying, well, he never hit me. My ex-husband punched a wall out in front of my face, but he never hit me. I had a partner who orally raped me, but he never hit me. I had a partner that took the condom off as we were having sex without my consent, but he never hit me. So I'm not a survivor. I'm just somebody that went through something. And I never equated surviving sexual assault, surviving being abused mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, as something that you need to survive. I thought that was something you just needed to overcome. And you just need to go through whatever you need to go through to be able to overcome that. And being a mental health advocate, I don't have all the credentials that so many of the incredible people in here do have, but I really feel like I am a psychologist by proxy. And because the one thing that I did do is become very open and transparent with what happened with me. And it's taken until probably the last couple of months to be able to own up to what happened and not immediately blame myself. Because what onus does an 8-year-old have? Who are we to give that type of burden to a child and then expect them to grow up into a fully functioning adult without any problems? And anything that they have going on with them is like, oh, well, that's just something you have to handle, something you have to deal with. And so I was triggered earlier this week because one of my cousins that maybe has no idea, I don't know, because no one in my family really talks about it, she tagged me in an Instagram story in a picture with me, her, and the cousin that molested me. And I know what I would have done initially. I would have spiraled and gone deep into my depression cave with ice cream and found a way to, I'm a Virgo, so I hermit mode immediately. So it's not even a question. I will disappear off the face of the earth. And instead I went, okay. And if you're familiar with IG stories, you have the option to share that to your own story. And I went, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to give the man that molested me that now has 2 children and a wife and all of these things. In a way, I felt like he got to move on, and for a long time I didn't. And that manifested in my following relationships and the partners that I've had in the past that ended up abusing me in ways I didn't even know were imaginable. And I had to take a step back and go, yeah, you are a survivor. And survivor isn't a one-note word. That's not something that it's not a blatant statement. You could be a survivor of many things. It doesn't have to be all of the stories that we told up here. So I would press upon you to look yourself in the mirror when you have the bravery to do so, when you have the courage to do so, and ask yourself, what am I surviving? What do I continue to keep surviving? What do I continue to keep surpassing even when everything in me, including your own brain, says that I can't do it? Everyone in here has a 100% survival rate because you're here. So, and somebody, myself, that has dealt with suicidal ideation, I completely understand those days where you're like, right now I'm at a 76, and hey, it's okay. Totally understandable. But take the time to get to know who you are outside of the hurt. What do you look like after the healing? Because healing is messy. People love to do, self-care, I'm going to go get my nails done, I'm going to look cute, I'm going to... That's performing healing. Walking out and working in healing, it hurts. It's gross. It feels just you don't want to do it. But the only way to truly get past is to sit up here, be ugly crying in front of everybody, in front of God and country, and be okay with it. And I'm grateful that you thought of me. And I wrote, you're probably going to see it when you go on Facebook later, but I wrote on my Facebook page that watching my words come out of the mouths of other survivors really affected me back there. You know, you kind of look at something, you take yourself away from it. Well, I do. I take myself away from it. Yeah, I did that thing. Yeah, okay, cool. That's why I was like, why do you want me to go last? But to watch my words come out of someone else's mouth that may have gone through something similar to what I did, or may have gone through something that I can't imagine, is truly a remarkable and beautiful thing. And you've created something. You had, like Amanda said, you've created a safe space where we can come up here and go, yeah, you know what, me too. So thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I love you. And I'm so mad you made me go last.
All right, y'all, so we were sappy. I really just, again, hope, like you know, everyone was saying, you know, people who have or experience anything like this, they go through the withdrawals and the suicidal thoughts, because I've had those too, you know, just figuring if I'm not here, I'm cool. I had to hear my cousins and my friends say, well, you know, if you kill yourself, then we're going to miss you, you know, what you're going to leave other people to deal with. I didn't care. I just want the pain to go away. I don't care. Everybody, they'll eat, they'll go to the church, they'll cry, you'll be over it. I just don't care. My withdrawals from Lachelle, and other people can tell you, you can call me and I will not answer the phone. It is not personal, I promise you. I mean, and see, the amen corner over here was mostly my family and my family in the back. They know, like, seriously, if you call me 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to pick up the phone. And it's not the personal, it's just, man, I tell you, those feelings of just feeling, like Joy was saying, it sticks with you a lot. And I'm working through them, you know, just like I said, my trauma, a lot of my trauma is not like everybody else, but it doesn't mean that it's any less for me to get through or anything like that. And I just hope that you all took something from this. Please know that on the back tables, the persons in the PSAs and the mental health professionals, they do have some of their books that are back there that you can purchase. They have T-shirts. And I don't know, you just have to look at the table. They have a lot of good stuff. For those of you all who may have come late, if you want to see the PSA again, then we can play it for you again. Do you think it's... Okay. So I just want to know, if you all want to watch the PSA again, then if you want to stick around, that's fine. But before we end, again, I just want to thank each and every person who was involved with this, who has listened to me cry, even the people outside of this, my family, my cousins, who listen to me on a daily spaz out and says that I'm going to jump off the James River Bridge every day. Like, they even ask me, have you jumped yet? Is that why you're calling? You know, so I'm telling you, I'm a very emotional being, but my heart is in the right place, you know. But with that being said, I am going to, so grateful and thankful that Miss Nicole Phillips, she is here. She is going to close us out in prayer. And the only thing that I ask is, since we're all family, if we can just get up and kind of join some hands some way across. Yeah, because I need for all of us to be in touch and agreement, please. So, yes, if y'all could just spread across the aisle, hold some hands, touch some shoulders. And yeah, do you want to?
I think so. Okay, now you can hear me. Before I pray, I was sitting in the back, and when Melissa first called me and hit me up on Facebook and asked me to come, I was like, God, what you about to send me to? I said, Melissa, what am I praying for? And I really want to be open to the Spirit of God in this place. Even though I am a minister, even though I am a LPC, I'm a counselor, I'm also a survivor. And I like to even put a little bit more on that. I'm a victorious warrior, because the battles that ensue as a result of your post-traumatic identity are constant. They're often silent. They often happen in our rooms when no one else is with us, or in our showers on the mornings when we're negotiating with ourselves to just find enough strength to get up out the bed, put on some clothes, and just try to go to work to help somebody else. It is a daily battle. It does not stop or end with the offense. It doesn't stop or end with the offender. It impacts how we interact with our friends and how much people can touch us, and when we don't feel like going outside, and how many times we have to apologize. It's affected my business at times. It's affected my ministry at times. One of the worst depressions of my life occurred during my last year of seminary, and it's extra worse when you're going through a depression and you're supposed to be a minister and you're supposed to have it together, and I didn't have anything together. But what I learned through that entire process, because I kept asking, it not only impacts your relationships this way, but that type of trauma impacts your relationship this way. And nobody in the church really wants to talk about the days that you met at God. And nobody at the church wants to talk about the days when you wake up and you say, well, God, where were you? And nobody wants to talk about the times when everybody's talking about forgiveness, but you just can't get it up in your heart one more time when you look at that person, or when you see that old picture, or when you hear that voice. We talking a lot of talk in the church, but nobody's talking about the real stuff that we're bound by. Nobody's talking about the real stuff we need to be healed from. And so I just want to be a different type of vessel today, and I just want to be obedient. And so what I really want, because what I had to learn before I could start forgiving other people in my healing process, I had to spend some years, and I'm still working on it, guys. I'm not even going to tell y'all that I'm at the end of my journey, because I'm not. But I'm closer, and and I'm grateful that I'm closer. But I had to spend some years forgiving myself for how I dishonored
myself because of my post-traumatic identity, forgiving myself for the people I pushed away that I should have brought closer, and the people that I brought too close that I should have kept at a distance because I just didn't know any better at the time. I didn't know how to do better than what I was doing at the time. Forgiving myself for the people that I hurt unintentionally, forgiving myself for the times I hurt myself unintentionally, forgiving myself for the scars on my wrists from when I tried to cut myself in my dorm room, forgiving myself for just all those things, those damages that I didn't know how to heal, right? So I kind of want us to start there, because I heard a lot in our stories. I'm going to say our stories because your story is my story. It might not be the same person. It might not have been the same violation. I was 2 years old when it started. And the thought in my mind as an adult to look at my 2-year-old nieces and nephews, I can't fathom it. But that clearly tells me that the person that did it, it was my father, the person that was supposed to protect me. There was something going on and he needed healing. And so as I've gotten older, I've asked God to help me find compassion for my abuser. And that has been a hard journey. It's hard to find empathy for your abuser, but the Bible tells us that we should love our enemies, right? And if I had an enemy, baby, that was the one that was difficult for me to love, but I'm working on it, right? I'm still working on it. So maybe if we all, because we're standing together and we've shared our story, so maybe if we work on it together, maybe we can actually get this healing thing going. You know, crazy statistic. I know right now the statistic is 1 in 5 or 1 in 6. If we count off the room, just by mere statistics, the number of people in here that have been violated are huge, right? In my personal friend circle, 100% of my closest friends have been molested. That's about over 15, 20 people. And so we have found a space where we could share that with each other. If you don't have those spaces, find them. I promise you, if you just bring up the conversation, you'd be surprised who shares your story. And every time, and I'm going to switch to my mental health hat, every time we tell our story, literally, something happens in our brain. The way that our brain processes the information changes. It's a biological fact. So this moment that you created wasn't just random. There's some healing that has happened tonight. From the people that shared, from the people that listened, from the people that identified that aren't ready to share yet, that just know that they're not alone. So I want to pray for you too, because I'm grateful for you and for you being brave enough. It takes, I don't know if I could have called a room full of people together and just said, I'm going to tell my story. That takes a bravery. So can we just give her some love before we pray? All right, y'all. Join your hand with your sister or brother. We're going to get ready to pray, all right? Let us bow before our Creator. Gracious Creator, God, we just love you with every fiber of our being, God. God, we just thank you so much for this moment, for the space that is created, for the vision that you gave to Lissa, God, for her bravery and her strength to tell her story. God, we thank you for each and every victorious warrior who, although has been scarred and bruised by the battles and the experiences that they have experienced, they're still here, God. And we thank you for walking and journeying with them, even in their darkest moments of their lives. God, when the depression came, God, we thank you for being there. God, when the anxiety and the panic attacks came, God, we thank you for regulating our breaths. God, when we couldn't find the strength or the courage to get up out of bed on some days, God, we thank you that your presence sat in that room with us. God, when nobody else was there, God, when we were crying tears that nobody else saw, God, we thank you for being there with us, God. When we were thinking thoughts that nobody else knew, God, we thank you. Even the fact that we're still here meant that you held our mind together long enough, God, for us to make it to the next moment, whether it was through a counselor, through a program, through a family member, through a phone call, God, whatever avenue that you took to allow us to be here, God, we thank you that you thought enough of us to take it and to help us in that moment, God. God, I ask right now, God, for every single survivor whose heart is still breaking, God. God, that you would continue to be a very present help in the times of trouble, God. God, I pray right now when the voices start coming into our ears and our spirits to tell us that we're damaged, that we're not good enough, God, that it was our fault, that you would silence every lie of the enemy, God, and replace it with your truth, God, that we are wonderful and that we are powerful and that we are worthy of love and of acceptance, God, and of forgiveness. God, we ask right now that you would help us in those times that it's difficult for us to forgive ourselves. God, that you would allow us and remind us that we have nothing to be sorry for. God, and that everything that we have done, God, that you have already forgiven us, God. God, and you would help us to continue to heal. God, we pray for each and every family member that's here. God, we pray for each and every connection that's going to be made. God, we pray for those conversations that are going to have to happen when people go home, God, and with every conversation and with every truth was spoken, you said that the truth will set us free. God, so we thank you for the freedom that has occurred in this place today, God. God, we thank you for those that were able to stand in their truth and stand in their stories, God. God, and we thank you when we pray right now, God, that even in this moment that you would begin to just break chains off of minds and break chains off of hearts, God. Break generational curses off of families, God, that all of that would end with us in this room, God. We just thank you even now, God, for what you are doing and how your spirit is moving in this place, God. We are so grateful, God, and even as we leave this place, we ask for the strength to forgive. God, and when it comes up and it's difficult, help us again. God, and when we're mad in the morning, when we first wake up, God, help us again. God, and when we see their faces at family picnics and pictures, God, help us again, God. God, help us again until we don't need your help anymore, God, until our healing is complete, God, because you said that in the end, before it's all over, God, that we're going to be complete and we're going to be like you, and we're just grateful for that promise. God, forgive us for those things that we did in our ignorance, for those things that we did out of our post-traumatic identity where people called us fast and grown and sluts and whores, God. God, forgive us, God, because you knew that we were just yours and we were just broken. God, and we just thank you, God, that you look beyond all of those things. God, and you saw the goodness in us. And you saw the beauty in us, God, and you never stopped loving us. You never stopped seeing us as anything more than worthy. God, so we pray right now that you would help us to learn how to see ourselves the way that you see us. God, that you would help us learn to look at others through eyes of compassion and grace and forgiveness, that you would help us look at each other, God, through eyes of victory, God, and worthiness, God, so that we all may heal together. We thank you for this space and this time, God. We thank you for the healing that has occurred and is still occurring. And we'll be ever so gracious to give you all the praise. In Jesus' name we do pray and give thanks. Amen. Hug your sister and brother. Amen. Y'all have a good night.